Hello YouTube, Millennium back again. Ubisoft has just walked off the stage. So, they started their press conference with like a montage kind of thing going on of their previous games. Then a guy named Yves Guillermont. It's a lot of French names, and it's a really hard to pronounce name, so I'm sorry if I said that wrong. He came out and started talking about the company and how it's going and what have you, and then they started with demos, starting with Rayman Origin, which it's a 2D platformer. It looks okay, nothing. I've never really gotten into the Rayman series, to be honest with anybody. The demo they showed kind of encompassed everything that the game's going to touch on. There was a flying level, a swimming level, a this and that and the other thing level. I mean, a little bit of everything. So probably not way the whole thing's going to be, but it looks solid enough. Then their conference kind of took a weird turn. The guy came out by the name of Aaron Priceman, who was talking at about 140 miles an hour. Called himself Mr. Caffeine, which I can believe. Apparently he's been with the company for, he said, something like the last 10 years. It's the first time I've ever seen and or heard of him. But the thing that was really awkward about him is he starts going into a history look back of the company. It's their 25th anniversary for Ubisoft, so he starts throwing out stats about how gaming back in 1986 and now has changed and yada yada this yada, and then he goes into this. He starts making dick jokes on stage, which just was awkward and totally out of place. And then he swears on stage. They bleep him out. It was somewhat very unprofessional. I didn't really find any. It didn't add anything at all, and it was totally out of place. So there's that. He goes into his speech about how gaming is adventurous and gaming is life and this and that and the other. And he was like, then he started doing this comical trailer thing that looks like if these games came out back then in 1986, what would they look like? So they gave us a retro driver game, that's like a trailer or something that they just kind of constructed that looked really cheesy. And then they're like, okay, let's look at Driver San Francisco. It was a pre-rendered trailer. That's all it was. It was just lots of car chasing through the city of San Francisco, pretty much bookmarking every major landmark of San Francisco. It was no demo whatsoever. It was really But then they switched it up. Ubisoft Montreal Studios came out, did something. This guy looked like they're like, you're trapped on a jungle island and they're going through and you're looking. It's like a pre-rendered trailer at first, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Your guy gets captured. He was taking photographs of people down, shooting hostages and what have you, and then all of a sudden you get knocked out, and then this dude's talking to you and he's talking about insane this and insane that, and I thought to myself, I thought it was that the insane was, I thought, what the game was, but it's not. They never say anything above it. And eventually they go through this whole entire demo of him, escaping and grabbing an AK and taking out a bunch of guys with knives. I mean, how do you go from photographer to, a full-on Marine? I don't understand. But then towards the end, he grabs a helicopter. Helicopter gets shot down immediately, and then you get captured again. And then they cut to a scene, a black screen that says, Far Cry 3! Okay. All right. The first Far Cry, I thought was... mostly because the NPCs could pretty much lock onto you from across the map, and then the second Far Cry I didn't really like because it was too predictable. So we'll see what they do with this game. They said something about 2012 for that game. Gearbox came out and talked about a new. Apparently, Ubisoft challenged them to do a different kind of take on the Brothers in Arms series. So what they did was they came out with something called Brothers in Arms: The Furious 4. Which is the 4, probably something to do with co-op, I would imagine. And it was basically another pre-rendered trailer. There's a lot of pre-rendered trailers in this Ubisoft conference. Not a very strong feeling about that. The game looked kind of like the Quentin Tarantino movie about the Nazis in World War II. I cannot for the life of me remember what the name of that movie is, but that's what it kind of reminds me of. Next, they did something to do with their motion picture division, where they talked with a couple of different directors. Steven Spielberg was one of them, and then they kind of cut to a game that they're going to be working on called The Adventures of Tintin. It was like gameplay footage, but it was all previously recorded gameplay footage. They just kind of, it looks like an adventure game, a 2D platformer, maybe not. They haven't really said much of it, but so there's that. Mr. Caffeine comes back on stage, swears some more, very awkward, very weird. Then he does a comedy Ghost Recon retro thing, a trailer, pre-rendered trailer of that kind. It was supposed to be a joke skit, and it just got old really quickly. They kept doing it over and over again. Then they showed Ghost Recon Future Soldier. The demo started out very rough. There was a lot of texture popping, a lot of weird other things looking. It didn't look all that great. As it went on, though, it definitely got better. That game looks pretty awesome. I like a lot of the future tech involved in the game. It looks like a 4-player co-op is going to be in the game, and then they also announced Ghost Recon Online, which is a free-to-play service that is open for beta right now. So there's that. What else we got? 2 more people come out with. I didn't even try to write down their names. They set them at 100 miles an hour, and they were like this long, and they were unpronounceable. There's some kind of French name. They were talking about Trackmania, but they were evolving the service to called Mania Planet. They had this really long pre-rendered trailer about Trackmania 2, which looked okay, and then they just kind of mentioned it really quickly that we're also going to be working on Shoot Mania and Quest Mania, and that's all they said about it. Okay, whatever. Raving Rabbids Alive and Kicking for the Xbox 360 Kinect. Very, very awkward. It was not very good. It is just more jumping up and down and looking like an idiot in front of your TV. And it takes pictures of you while you're doing it and uploads it to your Facebook account. Then they announced Just Dance 3, multi-platform, Wii, Kinect, and PlayStation Move. So all the motion controller thingamajobbers are going to get Just Dance 3. So you'd expect it with how many unit sales they got out of that, the first 2. So October 11th, 2011 for that. See, Rocksmith. They showed another trailer of Rocksmith, and then a bunch of different guitarists and other people throughout the music industry talking about Rocksmith, how it actually helps to learn guitar. And it looked very interesting. They dropped in something about how you can plug in any guitar, which interests me very much so because I have 5 guitars myself. So but they didn't say how or how that works in any way, shape, or form. They just said that you could plug in any guitar. So that's something I'm looking forward to see, but they haven't said anything of it. So there's that. Your Shape Fitness Evolved 2012, another video trailer. Assassin's Creed, they did a retro parody thingamajobber of it. It was the joke had gotten old by that point in time. Revelations, the guys from the team came out, started talking about it. They talked about it for a very long time, and then they say that it's Ezio's final chapter. I will believe it when I see it. But it was yet another pre-rendered trailer showing off pretty much more of the same Assassin's Creed stuff, and then they actually got around to more talking and then a live demo of the game. The live demo of this game, I think, was the most impressive part of their entire conference because it looked very nice. It was particle effects, fire effects, smoke effects, different things. I never really got into the Assassin's Creed games, but this looks really good. So this was probably the best, strongest thing they showed at their conference. And then Mr. Caffeine ran out on stage and thank you very much, good E3, bye everybody, and then it was over. So another short conference. Not as good as EA, but still better than Microsoft. So Sony is next in about an hour's time frame. So until then, you guys have yourselves a good day.